I was inspired as a little girl finger painting at 4 years of age, and that's what started it all for me in this road. I was gooping them up, like with a big piece of paper with an egg drawn on it. And I just remember going, dag, this is great, wow. I remember being inspired a great deal by the Roman ruins as a young person, and just being overtaken by this sense of history again, by the sense of I'm inspired a lot by the idea that that we're probably standing on the bones of many people. I mean, literally. And that it's what I'm calling now grains of sand. To be aware of the fact that you're just a grain of sand, and that life is very precious, and that life before us was very precious, and life in front of us will be very precious as well. And to just take this moment and sort of polish our little grain of sand and make it as shining and beautiful as possible. I know in many of my travels I've stood in awe of ancient architecture, thinking back into the eons and the time, and all the times before. I'm thinking of Stonehenge right now, and how spectacular that is, and how I had a chance to see that and actually touch the stones and feel history and feel all of that time, the time itself. I know that I've been deeply inspired in ceremony, in the mists of nature. Peel away all of the accoutrement. Peel away everything, your ego, peel away everything. Be as raw as you can be, just your true being underneath. In nature is a spectacular place to be. You can feel the love, right? You can actually feel the love of the universe and sense that being, and sense that that you're loved and that you're special, and who you are really can kind of come true for you. And I spent a lot of time in ceremony, and I experienced that that knowingness, that awakening, that understanding many, many times. I say that art is my blood and my family is my flesh, and my soul is my bones. It's how I stand up. It's how I stand. My spirit is my bones. Symbolically, I just basically stripped myself naked and jumped over a cliff. Psychologically, spiritually, emotionally, artistically, and physically. I went to China about 4 years ago for a women's leadership conference. There was all these Chinese newspapers all over the seats in the airplane as I was getting off. And I said, oh my God, this is the last time I'm going to see China. I got to collect some of this stuff. So I started collecting these Chinese newspapers. I had no idea why I was collecting these newspapers. I just knew that I wanted them. I have drawers of newspapers at this point, bags of newspaper at this point. And I just kind of said, oh my God, I want to use newspaper as canvas. And recycling, I wanted to recycle. And so I started collecting all different kinds of newspapers. I think the first major suite that I did was when the Pope was inaugurated in Rome. I collected all of those newspapers and began to superimpose and create montages about the priest and the pedophile cases and the abuses in the Catholic Church. And they're pretty devastating works that include actual images of convicted priests, images of my paintings from previous portfolios, and images of the Inquisition. What goes around comes around, sort of thing. And they just sort of snowballed into a bunch of recycling my images. Since then, I'm not only using newspapers, but now I'm using posterettes. And like in this piece here, I chose, this is a piece that's actually going to Chicago for the Mujeres de Juarez exhibition. And it's actually a Mexican movie poster where you see the girl who's always the hoe, right? She's always got the hoe pose going and the hoe clothes going on. And you always have like, what, 007 or the guy with the big handlebar mustache, really macho, really machismo. He's even got his gun here. And superimposed on these images are images, and this whole idea that 500 women have been murdered in Ciudad Juarez, And I'm asking the question, does media impact the way men feel about themselves and their empowerment over women or their abuses of women? And I'm saying yes, it does. And you can see that some of my paintings are here. Here's some of the electrics images. So I love double and quadruple entendres, because that's kind of how my brain works. Then the other story is I had a dream. I walked over to this pedestal and there was a Ferris wheel. And I made a piece called the Ferris wheel. It was made out of Tinker Toys and it was spray painted red. And I woke up the next day and I said, oh my God, I think I have to make this object. And I used photographs as it's an anti-war piece. So there's all kinds of images of the dead, Iraqi dead specifically, Americans and Iraqi dead in Iraq. And I've used photographs non-stop since I started doing A Prayer for the Earth. But you still find the paintings. I'm dragging the paintings along because I must in order to be able to create a continuum. But I'm very pleased with the work. I haven't had this much fun making art in 20 years. I feel that I've been freed from the idea that I had within my own head about what kind of artist I felt that I had to be. I still can be eco-conscious, I still can be politically conscious, but now I'm making artwork out of art supplies. It's a whole hell of a lot cheaper and a lot more fun. If you go into the feminist movement, I have lots of girlfriends that are in the feminist movement and very much involved in the feminist movement. You don't see that many women of color in it. We weren't really part of the suffragettes. We weren't really educated and struggling to get out of the house and get a job. We were in the factories and in the fields living in rags and, immigrants. And so it's a totally different paradigm for women of color in the feminist movement, historically. In terms of contemporary movement, I think it's important for women to become knowledgeable and aware about what's going on in terms of equal pay for equal work, access to education, access to freedom of choice, all of these kinds of things, which are, integral to what the iconography and the beliefs of the feminist movement, are important for us to be a part of, to accolade, and to support. I'm one of those people that'll go out from this place kicking and screaming and throwing a really big party before I go. This is the best place ever. This is better than Disneyland, any ride you ever had. Life is the best thing that ever happened to any one of us. It's a miracle that we're here, that I am who I am and that you are who you are, and that we have a mind and that we can have a life and create ideas, and that nature is so spectacular.